The GDV of this, we've been told, is going to be 150, potentially 160. So we tried a cheeky offer of 300, and as you can probably imagine, they outright rejected that one. So we tried 312, just for a bit of a laugh, if I'm being honest with you. And they accepted it. I was like, a portfolio of 1.9 million with gross income of 103,000.
First of all, let's hear it for our first speaker. Please put your hands together for Chris Wills.
Thanks, mate. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Wills. I'm based down in Devon, and I just want to spend a few minutes telling you guys about who I am, where I come from, and the last 12 months, which has been phenomenal. So, yeah, Chris Wills, based in Devon, right down in the sticks there, and it's a lovely place in the world, and that's where we're doing all of our investing as well, because that's it's local to us. I just want to quickly talk about why I'm doing this. And I believe that if you're going to do anything in life, you have to have a reason why. Otherwise, what's the point? I've worked all my life since I was about 12 years old, had a paper round, and then just had various jobs throughout college, and worked in the corporate climbing the corporate ladder, which I always thought was the right thing to do, because we're all taught to do that. You know, get a good job, get a good education. Not necessarily anything wrong with that, but it just wasn't for me. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to take back control of my life, and I want to spend time with who I want to work with, as well as working when I want and doing what I want. And it wasn't until I got introduced to this course that I didn't honestly believe that was possible. I always thought it was for other people. My biggest reason why are these guys. And I unfortunately lost my parents when I was quite young, and that reminded me that life is really short and it can be taken away from you just like that. My mum, I lost her through cancer when I was just 17, and I made a promise to her that I was going to make something of my life, and I went way the other end of the scale. I dropped out of college. I started drinking all the time. I was just going in a downward spiral. And life was just looking grim, generally speaking. I was a mummy's boy. And, you know, and I had a really special bond with her, and unfortunately she was taken from me at a very early age. But at the same time, I met my wife there, as you can see over on the right-hand side, and she's been my rock and been pretty much the driving force as to why A, I started making a success of my life in the corporate world, and B, why I wanted to get out of that grind, because, like I say, my experiences reminded me that anything can happen in life. Unfortunately as well, I lost my father about a week before my daughter's first birthday. He was due to go in and just have routine surgery, and he didn't make it out. And I was devastated because he was so madly in love with my daughter, and he didn't get to see her first birthday, and that was crushing. And I slowly felt myself going back into the way I was before, but again, thanks to my wife and all my friends and family for just dragging me through the process, and here I am today, stood in front of you guys. And thank you. So like I say, you've got to do anything in life. I set myself some targets when I first discovered Mastermind. It was some free webinar that came up on my Facebook feed, a certain Mr. Simon Zucci, and it comes up on my feed all the time now, I don't know why. So I just thought, well, what's this? I've always been interested in property. I've watched pretty much every episode of Homes Under the Hammer that's ever been existed. I'm pretty sure I saw the one that Cowpesh is in as well. And I always just thought it was for other people. I've always wanted to do it, but never knew how. And I kept getting in my own way. Didn't have the money, didn't have the time, and all the gubbins that goes with that. I watched this webinar, and I was hooked. That was it. That just lit a fire under my backside, and I've not looked back since. So these were the targets I set myself when I started Mastermind. They're all pretty self-explanatory, but the one that really stuck out for me was this banner here that I'm blocking. Because that's pretty much, not to brag, but that's pretty much what my salary is in my job. So I thought, well, if I can achieve that without actually physically going to an office and working for someone else and making them lots of money, I want to be able to do that myself. And that's why I wanted to get out of the daily grind. And also, I've put there to become a better person. And what I kind of mean by that is I want to be able to help others. I want to hopefully be able to inspire others by achieving what I've achieved in just a short 12 months. And it goes to show what you can do if you absolutely set your mind to it. All right, so here we go. So last year, I teamed up with a very good friend of mine, Ed Squire, I believe is watching online. And he had similar goals and aspirations. He wanted to get into property as well. So I thought rather than us both going our separate ways doing it, let's pool our resources together. You know, you want to work with your friends, and that goes back to my point earlier that you work with who you want to choose. So in, I think it was November last year, we secured our first deal as a business, which was this one. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill mid-terrace house, 3-bedroom. We actually converted it into a 4-bedroom. We bought this via probate, so we were able to negotiate a bit of a deal because the chap had to sell it because he had a huge tax bill because he inherited quite a large estate. So we managed to negotiate it down. So it was on the market for 165, and as you can see there, we've got it for 145. And that sort of overline figures there sort of describe what we did, how much we spent, and we've now rented that out. There's a few abbreviations on there like GDV, BRRR, and all the other things we learned like PLO, HMO, and all that sort of stuff. If you'd asked me 12 months ago what any of that meant, I would have said, oh, is it a medical condition or something like that? I don't know any of it. But now it's easy because of this course and all of you guys here. So that was the first deal. That was done and rented out pretty much straight away. That was quite easy. And then on to the next one. So this one I've done by myself, actually. This one's a simple little 2-bed property. It's actually so close to being done. So those pictures that you see on the right-hand side of each before and after there, they were taken 2 days ago. This one will be ready in about a week, and we've got a tenant lined up, and we far exceeded the rental income that we were told we were going to get by multiple estate agents, so shows what they know. So this was on the market for offers in excess of 110,000. Managed to get it for 90. Was a little bit cheeky with it, if I'm going to be honest with you, but what did help was that we had the down valuation from the surveyor, downvalued it because of the condition, so we used that to our advantage rather than because we had an offer accepted of 97 originally. We were able to use that as a bargaining chip to say, look, it's only worth 85. So we came down to 90. The GDV of this, we've been told, is going to be 150, potentially 160. So if we hit the 150 mark that we hope to achieve, we'll leave about £2,500 in this deal, which will take less than a year to get all our money back from that. So that's the second one. And then this one, I'll put game changer because this one is a property that I saw pretty much when we started Mastermind. It was on the market for 400,000. And I know this area well, and I know a couple of you guys have been to visit this property. And when I saw it, I thought, how in God's earth is that only 400,000? Because the properties up there are worth in excess of 700,000-800,000 without being anything done to them in particular. It was actually divided into 6 flats, and all of them were in absolute diabolical state. There was actually an improvement notice slapped on this property to the tune of £150,000 worth of work that was legally required to be done. And that's why it got repossessed, because the previous owner sort of thought, no thanks, just lobbed the keys to the estate agent and disappeared to Australia. And we were there to clear up the mess. So there's a few before and afters. They're not the best, I must admit, but this is the first flat is completed, and we've got a tenant in there now. And that was part of the rip-out phase there. So where the 2 gentlemen are stood, that's the bedroom that you see on the right-hand side. So it's completely back to brick, rewire, replumb. We didn't want to bother messing around trying to do things on the cheap, because it's now going to be in a good condition for the next 20, 30 years, hopefully. That's the basement flat. So that particular one is going to be a holiday let, if the lenders allow it. Reason being, it's got a totally separate entrance to the rest of the flat. So if you go there, and those that have seen it, it's almost like it's a separate building. So that's going to be an Airbnb when it's ready. That is probably about 3 weeks off being complete, that one, and ready to rent out. The idea is that 4 of the flats have got tenants in, so we're moving them around whilst we do the refurbs, and they've all signed the forms to agree to do that, and most of them are over the moon because they've been living in really poor conditions. So those 3 photos there, that was a tenanted flat, and he was living in those conditions, and that is not the worst of it. There are some of them that are even worse condition than that, and they were paying rent to live there, which in my book is robbery that anyone's paying to live in that. So that gentleman actually in that flat is up in the new one at the moment temporarily, which is directly above his old one, and we're partway through the rip out of his at the moment. The reason it's also a game changer is because of the figures on this one. We could not believe our luck when we got this for the price we got it for. Like I say, it was on the market for offers in excess of 400. There was an offer accepted for 350, and we were prepared to pay 375 for it, and we had the offer put in. But it transpired that it was just the leasehold, the master lease of the property. So the person that had the offer accepted, 350, ran a mile. So we thought, well, let's look into this. You know, we're part of this amazing network. Let's use that to our advantage. So we got in touch with our solicitor, who has been the best solicitor I've used for anything, and that's testament to Andy at the back there. She looked over the lease and said, actually, that you are essentially the freeholder, because you've got all the responsibilities of a freeholder, you know, the insurance, the upkeep, the maintenance, and all the jazz that goes with that. So she said, yeah, go for it. We obviously didn't tell the vendor that, or the bank that repossessed it. So we tried a cheeky offer of 300, and as you can probably imagine, they outright rejected that one. So we tried 312, just for a bit of a laugh, if I'm being honest with you. And they accepted it. I was like, okay, fine. So the refurb is quite a hefty one. We think it's going to come in and around about 180, maybe 185 if we go to town on it. But the GDV, once we do a title split, and again, that is something I'd never heard of until this course, and they're all going to be single lets, apart from the bottom one. So I've based all those figures there on all of them being single lets, just for the sake of ease, but the holiday let could bring in more, could bring in less, we just don't know. But as you can see, once it's all refinanced, the money that will come back to us, essentially in our back pocket, once we pay back our investors. So we've put about £2,000 of our own money into this to pay for some of the legals. It was all private investment, paid for the deposit, bridging finance, and development finance is paying for the rest of it. And once we refinance it all, about 100,000 of that, 205 will go back to our investors. The rest will be in our back pocket with the ongoing cash flow that we will get from this property. So that, like I say in the title, is a real game changer for us, and that's made us. Now I've put uncharted territory because we've just had, literally this week, the option agreement signed for this commercial to residential dwelling. This is going to be turned into 5 flats, and they're all going to be single lets. So the figures are all based on what local estate agents are telling us. We've secured it for 210. It was on the market for 220, and the gentleman he can't wait to work with us because it's ticked all the boxes for him, because he's been trying to sell it for about 8 years and got nowhere with it. So, you know, we caught wind of it just by being out on social media. People, oh, you're into property, aren't you? And my father-in-law was trying to sell this business here. So we were straight in there, and within a week it was all verbally agreed, and now it's just going through all the legals as we speak. So a quick summary of the deal, some headline figures for you. The portfolio value there, as you can see, is going to be circa 1.9 million once it's all complete. And a year ago, if I said to anyone that I'd have a portfolio of 1.9 million with gross income of 103,000, I would have bit your hand off and laughed at you, because that was all a pipe dream for me until I started this course. I've also met a gentleman on this course as well who's helped me secure some rent-to-rent funding, so business-to-business basis, and the annual income we have from that now is just over 177,000 per annum. Again, figures that were all a pipe dream for me. And I've raised nearly £500,000 in private investment, something I didn't think was possible from people I didn't think had money, but I just trusted the process, and away we go. So there's your annual income and annual profit at the bottom there of nearly 270 or nearly 220,000 per annum once all projects are complete. So what's next? Part of why I'm doing this is because I want to, obviously give up my job, but that will then give me the time to scale back or scale our business, and give back to the community, because that's what it's all about for me. I want to be able to help people. I want to provide top-class living accommodation, because as you saw from some of the previous photos, people were almost living in squalor in certain circumstances. But again, I get a real kick out of helping people, and if I can, I will. So I want to become the next steps for me is the PIN meeting helper in my local PIN, and potentially becoming a PIN coach as well afterwards, because like I say, I really enjoy helping people, and it's something that I want to do. This is the first time I'm telling anyone this. And doing it probably in the wrong forum because now I'm going to be accountable for it. But I want to run a marathon. I've always been good at running, always enjoyed it, and I've never just bothered kicking on with it. So I'm committing right here today that in 18 months I plan to run a marathon unless my body tells me otherwise with injuries or something like that. And like I say, folks, I want to give back to the community. And more importantly for me, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the marathon thing, is I want to raise money for charity. The two obvious ones are cancer research and British Heart Foundation. Top tips, like I say, no point doing anything in life unless you're going to go all in. That's what I'm about. So you've got to define your reason why, and then you've just got to immerse yourself in everything that this brings to you, not just the mastermind, but the whole PIN community as a whole. And if you don't do that, you're not going to really kick on like you probably should. Be obsessed with it. I think half the reason I've raised so much money is because I have chatted people to death about it, and I got the feeling they've just paid me to shut me up, get me out of their sight, and as long as I pay them the interest, that's all they care about. And like I said earlier on the microphones, dream big. Get out of your own way. If you don't dream big, you're not going to make it big. If you keep your thoughts small, it's just not going to happen. And inspire and be inspired, everyone in this room's inspired me, because I've seen people that have come from literally having no time, and they've given up their job, and now they are going all in for property, and they wish they'd done it earlier. And I'm going to be doing exactly the same quite soon. And like Simon always says to us, trust the process. It works. Believe me, it works. I cannot believe I'm stood here telling you all this today, because like I said to you before, 12 months ago, this was all a pipe dream, an absolute pipe dream. And I just want to say thank you to absolutely everyone in this room, because without you and your ongoing support, all the figures I reeled off before just wouldn't happen. I wouldn't have achieved half of this, and I wouldn't be stood here today addressing you all. So thank you very much.
I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful, that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.